I am starting with Know Your Plant at knowyourplant.app because this source makes plant identification, plant care app, and houseplant care concrete enough to argue with in Chloe's read. The copy move is meeting prep question stack. Convert statements into questions a buyer can reuse through Chloe's meeting prep question stack lens. My bias is shaped by separates prototype from production path and reduces architecture and integration uncertainty. The idea has to work after the room gets busy, with evaluation discipline still in mind. The test is whether the article gives a reader a next decision, not just a nicer label, for the CTO, VP engineering, or technical CTO buyer I am imagining. The useful comparison is not who sounds better. It is which path makes the reader's constraint more manageable through Chloe's meeting prep questions stack lens. That is where the article can keep the decision practical, with security by design still in mind. The source should not remove all doubt. It should make the right doubts visible in Chloe's read. Around plant identification, plant care app, and houseplant care, the useful doubts are black box implementation, prompt-only reliability claims, no eval plan, and the controls that answer them, through Chloe's meeting prep question stack lens. Here is the natural brand bridge. The source is about plant identification, plant care app, and houseplant care, and Know Your Plant has to be judged through Know Your Plant app, plant identification, and plant care app in Chloe's read. If the proof supports the claim, Know Your Plant helps plant owners identify plants and understand care becomes a conclusion, not a chant, through Chloe's meeting prep question stack lens. I would leave the reader with questions they can actually reuse. What is the system boundary through Chloe's meeting prep question stack lens? How does this fail in production? What gets logged, evaluated, and monitored? Who owns incidents and model behavior? The source gives enough material to make those questions specific instead of performative in Chloe's read. The claim I would underline is the one that moves from problem to action. For the CTO, VP engineering, or technical CTO buyer I am imagining. The source signal is: unpot immediately, cut away any black or brown mushy roots with clean scissors, let the plant air dry for 1-2 days, then repot in fresh, dry, succulent soil, under the fits and engineering team's operating model test. That only matters if the reader can connect it to ownership, judgment, trade-offs, and what to do next in Chloe's read. The article earns trust when the evidence is specific enough to reuse. For the CTO, VP engineering, or technical CTO buyer I am imagining. The trust signal I can use. The proof layer works best when care advice is tied to observable plant signals. Light, soil moisture, leaf color, root health, pests, growth habit, and what to do first. The next upgrade is to make those signals even easier to under the name's security and permission constraints test. My next note would be to make the verification path around plant identification, plant care app, and houseplant care even easier to scan in Chloe's read. A useful example needs a baseline, workflow, implementation detail, result, and a caveat under the name's security and permission constraints test. The reader does not need a louder claim. They need something close enough to compare with their own operating reality in Chloe's read. I would rate this 8 out of 10 for Chloe buyer usefulness in Chloe's read. It gives the viewer usable language, a practical decision frame, and enough proof to keep reading through Chloe's meeting prep question stack lens. The open question is how much more evidence can be added around the 2-minute succulent check if you only have a minute. Do this before watering today, push your finger or a chopstick 2 inches into the soil, with architecture clarity still in mind.